Animation is a wide field of visual art, encompassing many different styles and techniques that all have one common goal: to invoke the illusion of life. Many people, both old and young, hold animation close to their hearts. Everyone at Art and History Museum's Maitland celebrates art history, including the tale of how animation came to be. A short history of animation. Since nearly the beginning of time, humans have had a knack for telling stories. The earliest evidence of storytelling dates all the way back to sometime between 15,000 and 13,000 BC. The first example of animation can be traced to the Bronze Age, evidence of which dates back to 3200 BC. Pottery from this time period was decorated with the earliest images in sequence. Before film, stories and contraptions were created in the name of optical illusion to amaze users and audiences. These toys were the precursor to animation as we know it today. In 1824, the thaumatrope was invented by British physician John Ayrton Paris. This optical toy used persistence of vision to trick the eye into seeing two images combined into one. More on persistence of vision later. Funnily enough, the concept of the thaumatrope is similar to the fliporama, which we will also look at later on. In 1878, photographer Edward Muybridge took multiple pictures of a horse in full gallop. This test, titled Sally Gardner at a Gallop or the Horse in Motion, was then installed into another one of Muybridge's inventions called a zoopraxiscope. This feat majorly impressed audiences and is seen as a prologue to motion pictures. 1900 marked the creation of the first short film to contain an animated sequence, The Enchanted Drawing by J. Stuart Blackton. Stop-motion photography was used to accomplish this breakthrough in animation. Winsor McCay, a famous animator who would influence many after him, in 1914 created the character Gertie the dinosaur in his short film of the same name. In a mix of film and live theater, McCay himself stands in front of the screen on stage and interacts with Gertie, highlighting her appeal. Gertie herself can be seen at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Echo Lake. Animation would begin to progress quickly after this point, with new techniques constantly appearing and diverse artists bringing their own flavors to the field. An example of a unique yet wonderful flavor is The Adventures of Prince Ahmed from 1926. Directed by Lottie Reiniger, it is a masterpiece of puppet animation with paper cutouts, inspiring many animators after its inception. 1928 marked an important year for both Disney and animation as a whole. Now iconic character Mickey Mouse would begin to entertain audiences this year with his zany antics in both Plain Crazy and Steamboat Willie. Both of these shorts would influence animators from this point forward. Through these and feature-length film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, Disney would create the framework for modern American animation. Not to say that there weren't other famous folks in animation as well. In 1940, a certain Wascally Wabbit made his debut in A Wild Hare, directed by Tex Avery at Warner Brothers Studios. Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes would make a name for themselves that rivaled Disney, with Bugs Bunny charming audiences up to present day. The latter half of the 20th century would prove to be a wellspring of animation in America, with new technologies allowing for endless innovation. The Flintstones, Charlie Brown, and Scooby-Doo of the 60s would evolve into Fat Albert and Schoolhouse Rock in the 1970s, which would in turn lead to the major toy-related series of the 80s, like Transformers and G.I. Joe. The 90s would mark a major turning point and explosion of artistry in the animated world, with rebellious cartoons like Rocko's Modern Life and the Powerpuff Girls entertaining audiences on the small screen, and the Disney Renaissance films enchanting audiences in theaters. These major works of art would influence many children of that era, and after timeless cartoons of the 2000s like SpongeBob SquarePants and Kim Possible, the 2010s would mark those children of the 90s breaking into the industry and making hits like Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, and most recently, OKKO. Animation in recent years has become incredibly accessible for both audiences and creators, which allows students like you, more than ever, to contribute to this wonderful art form.